It didn't start with a scandal. It started with a cheer. A Coldplay concert at Gillette Stadium. The Kiss Cam segment. A smiling couple projected onto the Jumbotron. Andy Bryon, then CEO of the US data platform company Astronomer, and beside him, Kristen Cabot, the company's chief people officer. A quick embrace, a kiss, nothing that would have made the news 10 years ago. But this is the digital age. Someone recorded it. The internet made the connection, and within hours the clip had gone viral. Over 50 million views, endless speculation. Then, fallout. Astronomer placed both Bryon and Cabot on administrative leave. Bryon has since resigned. Cabot, as of now, remains with the company, but under scrutiny. There were no formal accusations, no criminal wrongdoing, just a moment captured and shared. That fractured the illusion of control, of professionalism, of integrity. But this video isn't about them. It's about what that moment exposed, not just in two people, but in all of us. Because when morality becomes a performance, when character becomes content, and when leadership becomes theater, what happens when the mask slips? In this video, we'll explore 3 deeply unsettling questions. Are the moral lives of high-sensitive individuals simply curated acts for public consumption? Are you, yes you, also performing morality without even realizing it? And if morality is just a role we play, then what's left that's real? We'll break down how modern life, especially online, turns virtue into strategy, sincerity into branding, and even conscience into performance art. Stay with me, because this isn't just a social commentary. It's a mirror you may not want to look into, but once you do, you won't unsee it. In the world of high-tops leadership, morality has evolved, or perhaps devolved, into something disturbingly theatrical. It's no longer enough to be competent or strategic. You now have to perform sincerity, radiate humility, and embody what Goffman once called your front-stage self. In his landmark work, The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life, Goffman argued that social life is a series of performances. We present a curated version of ourselves to different audiences depending on what will earn trust, praise, or protection, and nowhere is this more true than in the upper echelons of corporate power. In that realm, character isn't cultivated, it's branded. Leadership now comes with a required wardrobe of social responsibility, emotional intelligence, and personal integrity, whether or not those qualities are genuine. What people trust isn't the person, it's the persona. The modern executive knows how to write a compassionate email about layoffs. They know when to smile at a press conference. They know how to mention mental health on LinkedIn. And they know how to look like they believe in the mission, even when they don't, because optics matter more than ethics, as long as the illusion holds. But when Andy Bryon's private moment with Kristen Cabot made it onto the Coldplay Kiss Cam, it shattered that illusion. He didn't violate company policy, he didn't break a law, but he broke character. And in a world where morality is theater, that's the most unforgivable sin. What the audience saw wasn't just an affair. They saw the gap between performance and reality, a breach in the stage, a glitch in the script. The incident didn't just raise eyebrows, it triggered questions about whether personal conduct should be tied to professional trust. And that's a dangerous question for a system built on image. Because when leaders stop acting the part, people start wondering if the part was ever real. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If you can build a career on appearing good, it only takes one unscripted moment to prove you never were. And if this is hitting something deep, if you're starting to question whether your own life has some of that curated morality, then this is the channel for you. Subscribe now if you're done with surface-level ethics and ready to explore what's really underneath the performance. It's easy to point at someone like Andy Bryon and say, he failed. But pause, really pause, and ask yourself this. If someone filmed your most unfiltered moments, would your audience still clap? We live in an age where morality isn't just lived, it's displayed. You're encouraged to share your outrage, your compassion, your values, post the donation, hashtag the cause, frame your grief, your empathy, your allyship beautifully. But when everyone's watching, the line between genuine virtue and strategic virtue gets blurry fast. This isn't a call-out, it's a mirror. The term virtue signaling was coined to describe exactly this pattern. People expressing moral beliefs not necessarily because they hold them deeply, but because it makes them look good. It's not always dishonest, but it's often performative. And here's where it gets psychologically complex. We don't always know we're doing it. According to moral psychologist Jonathan Haidt, most of our ethical choices are post-rationalized. That means we act first intuitively, emotionally, socially, and justify it afterward with reasons that make us look coherent, principled, trustworthy. You donate to a cause, then you explain it in noble terms. But deep down, part of you might have just wanted people to see the post. This is where the Bryon scandal cuts deeper than gossip. The outrage people felt, the judgment, the call for resignation, all valid but also telling, because when we gasp at someone else's mask slipping, it's often a distraction from our own. We've built a world where our digital selves must appear moral at all times, but that appearance is too easily confused with substance. If we're not careful, we stop being ethical people and start becoming people who look ethical. So ask yourself, not with shame, but with sincerity, are you living your values or just staging them? And if that question lingers, if it stings a little, that's good. Stay here. This channel is built for people brave enough to face that mirror without looking away. If morality is just a performance, then the terrifying question is this: what remains when the stage lights go dark? In democratic and media-saturated societies, philosopher Alexis de Tocqueville observed a growing obsession with appearances. Public virtue became a kind of social currency, one more about maintaining image than nurturing principle. Today, that currency is traded faster than ever, not just by politicians or CEOs, but by all of us. We don't just want to be good, we want to be seen being good. But here's the problem. When the value of morality is based on its visibility, then unseen goodness becomes irrelevant. And without witnesses, even the best people might stop trying. That's the existential crisis at the heart of our time. We're not losing our values, we're commodifying them. In the workplace, in leadership, in public life, morality becomes something to monetize or display. Until one unscripted moment pulls the curtain back. This is why Andy Bryon's resignation wasn't just about personal scandal. It created organizational shockwaves. His actions triggered what organizational psychologists call moral uncertainty. When a leader's behavior violates implicit ethical expectations, employees begin to question everything. Trust dissolves, initiative slows, people stop believing that values are real, and they start playing defense. But it goes deeper. At the highest levels, infidelity isn't just a personal failure. It can warp power dynamics, undermine fairness, and foster a culture where advancement feels tied to private allegiances, not merit. And when integrity collapses at the top, the entire moral structure beneath it begins to rot. So what's left? What's left is this: the choices you make when there are no cameras, no likes, no applause, no outrage, just you and the truth of who you are. That's where real ethics live, in the quiet decisions no one will ever see, the ones that cost you something, the ones that risk misunderstanding, the ones that won't trend. And if that sounds rare, that's because it is. Andy Bryon didn't lose his job because he kissed someone. He lost it because the illusion cracked, live, in HD for millions to see. The Coldplay kiss cam was never meant to be an ethical referendum. It was meant to be harmless, playful, romantic. But when Bryon, then CEO of Astronomer, was seen kissing Kristen Cabot, his company's chief people officer, the footage hit differently. It wasn't just a private moment. It was a symbolic rupture in public trust. Why? Because in leadership, perception is everything. The CEO isn't just a strategist, he's the cultural tone setter, the moral North Star. And the head of HR? She's the architect of ethical standards, fairness policies, trust protocols. When those two roles cross personal boundaries publicly, the damage isn't just reputational, it's foundational. Within hours, the video spread across platforms. No names were announced on the Jumbotron, but the internet did the rest. The speculation wasn't limited to infidelity. It expanded to abuse of power, favoritism, and the kind of workplace dynamics that erode meritocracy from within. Here's why it cut so deep. People didn't just feel betrayed by Bryon's actions. They felt betrayed by the narrative they believed he was part of. The disciplined, mission-driven leader, the company built on trust and innovation, the values they heard echoed in town halls and culture decks. And in that one moment captured, shared, dissected, it all looked like theater. He didn't fall because of a kiss. He fell because the character he was playing suddenly didn't match the script. And here's what that moment forced people to confront. If even the people meant to embody integrity are performing it, who's left to believe in? If you're still watching and haven't subscribed, this is your cue. Subscribe now if you're done watching the surface and ready to go beneath it. So here we are, a kiss, a CEO, a fracture in the simulation. But the deeper truth isn't about Andy Bryon or Kristen Cabot. It's about us, about the culture we've built where morality is optimized, branded, and performed until the mask slips. Real integrity doesn't need an audience. It isn't always rewarded. It's often lonely. But it's the only thing that still matters when the performance ends. If you've made it this far, you already feel that tension, that quiet discomfort. Hold on to it, because this wasn't just a fall from grace. It was a glitch in a system where grace was never real to begin with. Watch next. Do the elite believe they're above morality? We'll go deeper into the mindset that justifies the act behind the performance. Until then, stay awake, stay honest, and step off the stage.